Well, in today's journal, I have a lot to write. I don't know where to begin. Maybe I'll kind of start at the beginning of this week, I guess. Well, I managed to get my Man of Steel armor made. I made friends with a person named KL, who is a thaumaturge, although he appears to dabble in other things as well. And I was quite happy, thinking that I've got a friend. You know, I still have to be cautious because you never know, but I was starting to feel optimistic and hopeful that that there was someone here of like spirit to me. Well, a lot of things have happened, and I'm starting to wonder if that is in fact the case. So I'm writing it here in my journal, so that I can kind of put my thoughts together. Well, maybe it would make sense if I kind of recounted what happened. Well, I decided to make a mob farm for monsters because I need their goods, and well, farms are very efficient, and I like efficiency. So, just as I had decided to do that, I heard from KL that in fact he was wondering if I had a silk touch anything, because he had found a division sigil. I think he'd found it. It might have been given to him, and I would like to clarify if that is the case. But anyway, I'm getting distracted here. He said that he needed a silk touch pick because he had a division sigil and he wanted to collect cursed earth. And it sounded like he was going to make a mob farm as well. So, well, there you go. We were both going to do the same thing. We decided to join forces. And I had some experience built up, so I went over. He had an enchanting table, and we tried to create a silk touch something, and it didn't work out. We got other things. I don't know where I put it. But anyway, the enchanted book that I got was not silk touch. So we decided perhaps we could kind of cover an area and protect a piece of it and collect it with KL's magic, with his thaumaturgy. So we started to work on a mob farm. And while I did most of the work, because we had an infestation of lily pad monsters. I don't know what else to call them. They want you to think they're a lily pad, but they want to eat you. So they're not really lily pads. And while it was affecting me, it was affecting KL even worse, and he couldn't even hardly move, let alone think. So I ended up doing most of the work. And I would show you, take a picture and put the picture in the journal here. But it's getting dark out, and I'll explain why I'm not too eager to go out while it's dark. And I'll also explain that I don't know what that is. So, KL had to go, while we were working on the mob farm suddenly, and we were getting ready to perform the ritual to create the cursed earth and all the monsters that go with it, when I was running around, I think I was looking for animals, and KL kind of vanished, and I heard him talking to someone. I heard his half of the conversation, but not the other half. And, well, to be quite honest, KL has been dabbling a little bit too deeply in thaumaturgy, and, well, I was kind of concerned that he was imagining things. He had seen what he called death in the cave that's attached to where the mob farm is earlier. So I thought, hey, he is being a little bit mentally affected by, what he's doing, and he needs to be more careful, but I didn't really think too much of it. I figured when he showed up again, I would ask where he went. Well, he came back with proof that it wasn't his imagination. He had a bucket of something that looked and smelled like death. He didn't want to talk about who had apparently kidnapped him to talk to him, nor what they talked about, except that he then wanted to rush off, do some research, and think. So, that made me worried, because here's the person that I was thinking of as a potential friend, and who I've been working together with, who has gifted me with seeds to grow all the Botania flowers, so I don't have to go and hunt them in the wild. And he's talking to someone who consorts with Liquid Death, who likes to call themselves Death or look like Death, and that, well, I found that very concerning. And then I heard a whisper. Not one of my spirits, not one of the voices I normally hear, not one of my guides. I heard another voice. And this voice urged me to sleep, and I couldn't help myself. I fell asleep. And then I found myself, I found myself in a place that was like I was standing in the middle of a void, and all I could see was an anvil and the person who had brought me there. And she told me her name was Atera, that she didn't have much time to talk, and she gave me a gift and said that it would help me in my travels, and this is it. And I haven't told anybody about this, and I don't know that I'm going to tell anybody about this. I have to think about it. But then I was returned. And then when I started debating about doing the ritual to create the cursed earth, that perhaps it was not the best route to do, gifts started appearing. Silk touch. And it's daytime now, so we're going to go outside. And so I came over here, over near my tree farm, where the enchanting table was set up from earlier. And there was a pig tied in some mystical fashion to the top of the enchanting table, because I couldn't move him. All signs that, yes, I should perform this ritual. So I said, well, it's mana steel. Maybe. Well, I did it. Okay. I won't go through what I thought about it, but I decided to do it. And when I did, guess who should appear but Mr. Deathhood, as I like to call him. Actually, I'm missing out part of the story, but it's a long story. Mr. Deathhood appeared. I'd seen him earlier. He'd been disguised as a wolf, and I invited him in, not knowing he was a wolf. Or not, thought he was a dog at the time, sorry. And okay, we will look that moment. And so he came in. And at the same time, I discovered that a traveler that had come in earlier, that I thought was an innocent traveler, that wanted to stay in my traveler's rest. So I put him in with the Nose family. Well, at the same time as the wolf came in, I found out that, in fact, he was a werewolf, and he had slaughtered the Nose family, which is why he is now in a jail cell for his protection and for everybody else's. So I think that he was brought here by the fellow I've been calling Mr. Deathhood. Well, when I summoned Mr. Deathhood with that ritual, and I summoned him, he was bound to be here until I could let him go. And I didn't know that at first. I ran as soon as I saw him, and all the monsters, I was killed, and I reappeared here. I don't even know if I should really call it being killed, because obviously I'm not dead. But anyway, I reappeared here, and I was safe. safe in a way that I didn't understand, because when Mr. Deathshood was here earlier, he mentioned something about my door was protected in a strange way, and I didn't understand what he meant. But when I came here and, woke up here and looked out my door, there he was, and he couldn't come in. I don't know if he's a vampire. He likes vampires. I spent quite a lot of time questioning him, and with the help of my spirits, I posed various questions to him. And I know that this is a very long journal entry, and I'm probably rambling horribly, but I'm trying to write everything down because I want to get it clear in my head. So when I summoned him, I bound him here. He had to stay until I let him leave, which to me means that whoever gave me these gifts wanted me to summon him, wanted me to question him, wanted me to find out information. And so you might ask, who is that someone? Well, I think it's one of two people. Because speaking with him, and I have discovered his name is Astharus. And he has a brother and a sister. His brother Alair, I think, has escaped from a prison that Astharus had put him in, with his sister Atera. So Atera is still trapped. And Atera is the one who gave me this, who at the time said she had very little time, couldn't talk for long, gave me the gift, and sent me back. And if she's still a prisoner, then the reason she was able to speak with me, to bring me there, I think was because there is the gaps in the cell that Astharus is trying to fix. The gaps through which Alair was able to escape, but not Atera. Now, please understand, this is my understanding, and I might have it wrong, but I think that's what's happened. And from what I can tell, Astharus is what you would call evil. Alair is on the side of what people would call good. Atera, I believe, is in the shades of gray. And that's where I am. That's where I always look at things in shades of gray. And I think that's why Atera called me her seer. And what concerns me is that Astharus wants to make KL his seer. KL, the person I thought was going to be a friend to me, who still could be a friend to me, but only if I can convince KL not to become Astharus' seer. But then that opens a whole another can of worms, because Astharus is going to be pissed. He's said as much, and when he was bound here, as best I could tell, he couldn't lie to me. And if I asked him for help, I asked him for a cure for the werewolf in there, he gave me the best that he could, but it wasn't a cure. It was basically a way to protect me from it, and a way to tell if yeah. Speaking of Astharus, I think this box is from him. They're listening. He's listening. I guess that's his job in this world. Which leads me to wonder if he's actually a god or not. Or just a very powerful mage. Or something. Apparently everything you need to become a witch. But as I was discussing with my spirits, being a witch isn't necessarily evil. It's what you do with it. And as I am shades of gray, I will thank whoever left this gift. Even though I suspect I know who it was, and I don't know that I'm going to use it in the purpose that he may think I will be. Or maybe he does. I don't know. He's an odd duck, I will say that. Oh, right. So where was I? Yes, so he couldn't lie to me. He could refuse to answer, but it looked like he could not lie to me. So I'm sure I'm forgetting things. I'm sure there's things I haven't said that I ought to. But seem to be in doors. Seem to be in a world where there's three sides. The good, the evil, and the shades of grey. And all I can say is, well, at least I feel a little bit more at home here. At least here there's now shades of grey, whereas in the world, in my world, where we came from, for the last 4 years there was only two. There was black and there was white. There was good, there was evil. And if you weren't on one side, you were on the other, and everybody was killing everybody else, it seemed. So speaking of killing everybody else, welcome to my mob farm that's not quite working. Yeah, I didn't do the water right. Oh well, I will be fixing it. Alright, I think I've done enough writing in this journal, drawing pictures, and would you let me outdoor? I just have the worst luck with doors today. Except for the one that protected me. Oh yes, the door protection. I don't know for sure who did it, but it is a protected door. And I believe Astharus suspects his brother Alair did it. Now, I have not been spoken to or contacted, as far as I know, in any way by Alair, so I don't know if it was him. But on the other hand, if Atera has a lot of difficulty contacting me, then I don't see how she would be able to protect the door. So that's what makes me think it's Alair. But I don't know. And in fact, the only reason I know his brother's name, and as far as he knows I don't know his sister's name, is that Astharus let it slip, so yeah. I got lucky there. I kept him here quite a long time, and it was night. All the time he was stuck here, it was night. I questioned him all the time. Got a lot of information, and I probably still need to absorb some and write some more, but that's enough for tonight. I know I just spent a long time writing many pages in this journal, and future readers who read and look at this, I'm sorry if it's boring, but I had to write it down. I just had to. And now, I think I'm going to end this entry and perhaps try to get some sleep very soon. Hopefully sleep that is not interrupted by too many wolf howls to my left. There's been a few. Alright. Good night, journal.